for in emergency situations for refugees coming from Syria. So we can help. If the politicians have the political will to do it, we will be behind you. And the last thing I wanted to say, because I know that people in Oxford are looking for what they can do to help, and what I would say to you as an ask for asylum welcome, actually, is the most useful thing you could do to help would be to raise funds for us. Please don't donate blankets. You know, we can organise that very easily. Please help us by donating funds. We could do with a much more substantial and secure office than we have. We could do with more staff than we have because we are almost entirely volunteers. So please help us by raising funds for us. That would really make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate Smart. Asylum welcome. Also with us here today is the director of the national refugee charity, Refugee Action, Stephen Hale. Stephen, come up, please. This must be a week that's changed your life. It's been a difficult week for mean-spirited, small-minded bigots like Nigel. What's his name? Even the Daily Mail's had to change its tune. It's just extraordinary. And I saw this morning how refugees coming into Munich were applauded by German citizens, and isn't that just amazing? That's something I thought I would never see happen. So, over to you, Stephen.
Wonderful. It's fantastic to be here with you. I fled to Oxford myself. I used to be based in Geneva, but I couldn't afford the coffee. So I was based there working for Oxfam, and I came to Oxford a year ago. And 6 months ago, I moved to become the director of Refugee Action. I live very near here. A couple of weeks ago, I was delighted to have my photograph in the Daily Mail. It was a double-page feature, and there were a number of other people photographed, and we all ran refugee charities. And over 2 pages, we were accused of being part of a 5th column of people in Britain who were conspiring to get everyone in Calais through the Channel Tunnel and onto ferries. It was a pretty novel experience, but 2 weeks later, we're here today, and 2 weeks later, the country has come together, and the country is saying to the Prime Minister, you have to fundamentally rethink your approach to this crisis and your approach to refugees. And I want to say that there's a big part of me, and I don't want to share it with too many people, but we could probably tell everyone in Oxford it'll just about be okay if we keep it tight. That there's a bit of me that wants to say to the Daily Mail, I told you so. But there's a bigger part of me which says, I want to thank the Daily Mail because now you're on our side, and it's great. And now the Express is on our side because we want to take the whole country with us. There are people amongst us, everybody who's here today probably, thinking, I felt this way 2 weeks ago, I felt this way a month ago, but it wasn't happening. And now it is, and now other people have come with us. And I want to celebrate that, and I want to keep that going, and bring people into our tent, and hold this government to account. Because suddenly people in Britain have recognised that the compassion which they show for refugees is a litmus test of whether we can call ourselves a civilised country. And I think that's a fantastic thing. Refugee Action was set up in 1979. Refugee Action was set up in 1979 by a Vietnamese person to help resettle Vietnamese people to Britain. And in the 1990s, we helped with other charities with the resettlement of people from Kosovo. And it's just fantastic to see the country come together and recognise the crisis on our doorstep and to demand that the Prime Minister takes action. So congratulations to every single one of you. But I also want to say that there's a crisis over there. There's a crisis on our TV screens. Those tragic pictures have moved us all. But there are also people, destitute asylum seekers and refugees, who are in Britain today, the kind of people who are benefiting in so many ways here in Oxford by the work of Asylum Welcome. And so I think we've got to broaden this national conversation. We've got to say it's not just about Syrian refugees. It's about refugees wherever they are in the world. Because what's going to happen now is that everything this government is doing on refugees is going to be scrutinised, because the media has picked this issue up. And things that they were doing a month ago are going to come under the spotlight. And we can stand and we can ask the question, why on the 1st of August did this government cut support to new asylum seekers by 25% for women and for children? That has to change too. Now tomorrow, we're going to be told by our Prime Minister that he's got a package, and we should celebrate that, and that it will deliver a solution to this crisis. And really, I hope that it does. But this crisis is not over until every single refugee can sleep safe and secure, until Britain is working with every other country in the world to resolve these crises, to give people safety, to give people security. So I say, let's keep this thing going. Let's come back on these steps whenever we need to do it to make sure that this country and this city deliver and support refugees. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Now I know you're all here because you want to help. Can I just have a show of hands for those who are prepared to donate food, money, or somehow support? And, well, that's pretty much everyone. How about give shelter to a refugee family or unaccompanied children?
Bring your hand up!
I think there's a lot of people who can do this. And we need to move on now to talk about what the practical elements of our support are going to be. So the next couple of speakers are going to address this issue specifically. First, we're going to hear from Wyan Stansfield from the City of Sanctuary here in Oxford.
Hello, can you hear me all right? Stick your hand up if you can't. This is a wonderful moment, possibly the happiest day of my life, apart from when I got married. Because we've had two crises around the world. We've had a refugee crisis, which is huge, but we've had another crisis which is even more fundamental and serious, and that is the crisis of compassion. From top to bottom, from bottom to top, we have lacked enough compassion. So it is fantastic for me to see so many people assembled here compassionately to begin a sea change. And we could carp on about the lack of action from our politicians and the appalling representation of refugees in our media. But now is not the time for carping. Now is the time to think how we can practically help to take more refugees and asylum seekers into our community, and how we can humanely manage those people. There are a number of different proposals that have been made for doing this. One of them is a scheme started by Oxford City of Sanctuary called Oxford Host. And this is where people with a spare room are offering their rooms for free to take a refugee or asylum seeker or destitute sanctuary seeker for a specified period. We've had a number of people approach us about this. 4 have already been approved. We've already had our first placement, and just in the last 3 days there have been another 8 people approaching us. If you want to offer a room in your house, then the way to do it is to go to Oxford City of Sanctuary website, and all the details are there. And I just want to say thank you so much to the people who've already done that. It's an incredible thing to offer your house. Could we have a round of support for those wonderful people? If you're not able to offer a room, then help us with money, because we can't run this thing at the moment. It's just a group of volunteers running it, and already there's been so much response from the public that we are thinking about how we take it forwards in terms of paid employees and so on, so that we can manage this thing as effectively as possible and provide the proper support to refugee families when they come to Oxford. And I say when because it is up to Oxford City Council to make a bid to have Syrian families here. Central government have for a long time said that there is money available to councils who are willing to do this. Oxford City Council so far have not availed themselves of this offer.
Shame.
It is shameful, but let's not point the finger too much. Let's just say, will you now please get on with this? And don't spend too long talking about practicalities and dotting the I's. This is urgent. We need to provide decent accommodation and help to these desperate people who are trying to come to us. I was in Calais a few weeks ago and I spoke to a number of people who are waiting there. And I asked them, what would you like from the UK people? And the word that I got over and over again was mercy. Let us be merciful towards these people. We can lead the way here. I don't know if any of you saw, but well, I'm sure many of you did, the wonderful pictures in Germany and Austria yesterday where there were crowds cheering as refugees came in, where people were giving presents to the traumatized children.